So go ahead and put where you're tuning in from in the comments so we officially know we are live, because there's a little bit of a lag. And if you're catching this on replay, drop that hashtag replay so we can get back to you with any questions you may have or provide you with any resources that might be beneficial to you. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, hello, my name is Tegan Bartos, and I am the founder and managing director of Dual True Career. And I help ambitious professionals just like yourself own, pivot, or advance in your career. I always like to start off my lives by congratulating a client win or, giving a special shout out. And this morning I got to have coffee with a member of Chief, Michelle. How do I say your last name, Michelle? Peak, maybe? Peck? Well, Michelle, shout out to you for making time in your busy schedule to chat and have some time just catching up. It was a blast. For those of you who are not currently networking, get out there and meet new people. When I tell you that one conversation can change your life, empower you, inspire you, motivate you, it is absolutely possible because it happens every day. Today, I am so excited to have a very special guest joining us. She is an actor, a producer, and director, but here on LinkedIn, we know her as LinkedIn's content manager. So let me go ahead and bring Amir on stage.
Hi.
Hello. Oops, let me switch you. All right, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, everyone who's joining. This is my favorite topic, so I'm excited to be here and chat about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so today we are talking about how to future-proof our careers with transferable skills. And that can mean so many different things. Empathy, creativity, change management, leadership. They're soft skills, they're hard skills. But before we dive into all that, can you go ahead and share a little bit about your experience with transferable skills and what it took for you to really identify them and figure out how you could use them to move to the next phase in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I would love to just take this moment to shout out my mom and my grandmother for my upbringing, because they were really, I think, I was raised with a real value on skills. My mom didn't go to college. My grandmother didn't. I shared a little bit about this on my profile this morning, but my grandmother left her little East African village when she was 16 with her 9 younger brothers and sisters, so that they could live closer to their elementary school. And she had to take care of them. She had to provide for them. And she really developed this entrepreneurial spirit. She really tapped into her skills and what could she do, or what service could she provide to really make money and take care of her family. And that idea was really passed on to my mom and her siblings. And, I think only one of them went to college. And so when my mom was growing up and she had me and my sister, my dad actually passed away when I was 4. And so my mom really also had to rely on her skills and tap into that. And I was raised around that. I was raised around, an emphasis on skills versus this is your degree that you need to get. And I think that's something that has really guided me in my career, because I am an actor. I trained as an actor. I went to theater school. It's something that has been in me since I was 4. But every day, especially growing up South Asian, every day I was, confronted with conversations from aunties like, well, how are you going to make money? And, oh, a starving artist. And that really, I really reflected on that. I really thought about that. And I thought about it to the point where I was making lists like, okay, but if I'm acting, I could also do this, 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 and this. I could be an extra. I could write my own shows. I could, be like hired to do kids' parties, whatever. So always just making these lists of what else am I doing as an actor? What else am I developing as an actor that I could translate? And so when I when I finished theater school, I was doing that. I was working for an events company. I was producing. I was doing standardized patient work. And I started to really love communication and public relations. And I was just always reflecting on, what am I doing that I'm enjoying? Why am I feeling this way when I'm happy? Why am I feeling this way when I'm not happy or fulfilled or energized? And so that kind of led me to a place where, at the height of maybe my career, I was 26. I'd been playing a 15-year-old for 10 years, and I was on stage and on screen at the same time, working on two different projects, and I really wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I was like, this is my dream. I'm doing what I love. Why aren't I fulfilled? And I just realized that there were so many other skills I wasn't utilizing. There were so many other things that I was capable, that I just needed to explore. And so I went back to school for a communications degree, studied journalism and public relations. I worked in public relations for 5 years, still acting on the side, um, but went into executive positioning and media training and speaker coaching, using those skills that I developed as an actor of intuition and character building and authenticity, and then speaking in public. Um, and really brought that to the business world. And then again, when I was ready to switch again, when I was working in agency, and I was doing crisis communications for financial institutions at the height of cybersecurity breaches, and it was exhausting. It was fulfilling, but it was exhausting, and I needed a change of pace. And it took me about 2 years. So I know a lot of people who are joining are maybe on the job search. They're looking for jobs right now, and it can be tough. And it takes time. So you're not alone. If somebody says, oh yeah, I just went from job to job and I got every single one and I'm totally happy, like, that's the keywords. Yes, anybody can switch jobs and land jobs, but are you happy and are you fulfilled is another thing. And that work takes time. And you can do that simultaneously too. So for 2 years, I was looking at job postings, job descriptions, what are the jobs out there, what skills are required, and kind of aligning them with the skills that I had developed. And so that's where I've landed here at LinkedIn Learning, where I get to use all of those skills in performance and having an eye for what kind of, style and presentation of content, as well as the writing aspect that I got from public relations, and knowing your audiences and really testing the analytics, looking at the data and market research, and then just the communication, authenticity, and people and connection skills that I got as an actor. So I'm still on my journey. Things change. We all change. We change our needs. We change the phases that we're at in our lives. So I'm still on my journey, but I feel like my journey is really about continually bringing the left brain, right brain, like creative actor with the strategy, PR side together as harmoniously as I possibly can.
You just hit so many gems, because in this instant gratification world that we live in, it's so challenging to feel like it's going to take time to get there. And so knowing that it took you 2 years to kind of study job descriptions, research companies, really get honed in with where you are right now, and recognizing that you're still on that journey is a really powerful message for people to remember, that this does take time and we are continuing to evolve, and that things may change. But one thing that's consistent is the people element of things. And so with your current job, you get to interact with like the best of the best. And so what stands out to you when it comes to these content creators or these course creators, and the advice that they get for helping people identify their transferable skills and picking them out to highlight when you are looking for what's next? Because sometimes it's hard to even tell what's relevant.
Right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So I would say, if you're a job seeker and you're looking at content, you're looking at a speaker, you're interviewing a coach to work with, um, I mean, if it's something short, like one thing we always look at is there a learning goal? So when I'm creating courses, I'm looking at content, I'm looking at videos, I'm thinking, what is the actionable tip here? Because I think sometimes we get caught up in watching a day in the life or looking at somebody's, accomplishment story or post on LinkedIn. So it's not necessarily always about the accolades and all of that. I'm really looking at, like, is there a learning goal? Is there something valuable, learning outcome where I can take this tip and it can be actionable to my life or my career or whatever? So that's what I would say is, like, really be sure that the information you're taking in, and maybe you have to draw that line for yourself, or that connection is, what am I learning from this person? And continue to kind of keep track of that, so that maybe if there's somebody that you enjoy following, there's another reason maybe why you're following them. Maybe it's because you aspire to be like them. But if that's the case, that might not be the best person to give you the advice or teach the course or whatever it may be that you're looking at them for. When I'm looking at instructors, a couple of other things when it comes to instructors, and this is first and foremost, when I'm looking for experts to teach content, I'm always looking for, are they connected to what they are saying? And I feel like this is a skill that I've developed through being an actor and through my work doing executive positioning. As an actor, I was trained to connect with my scene partner, connect with my content, connect with myself, and really develop these characters, starting with myself. But really, that it's that skill of intentionally listening to yourself and understanding yourself. So that's one skill to develop, is your own self. And then two is, when you are thinking about, I think, like, for executive positioning, I spent a lot of time, I want to say this as diplomatically as I can, but is creating thought leaders. So somebody comes in, great, they have expertise, but I'm the one feeding them what to say. I'm writing their speeches, I'm creating their presentations. And so when I'm looking at experts, I'm thinking about that BS, I call it my BS meter, that I've developed of, has this person done the work for themselves first?
Yeah.
Right? That self-reflection work that I talked about. Have they done it themselves, or are they just really good at marketing? Are they really good at, branding themselves? But have they done the work? Do I think they are connected to the work that they've done, or the words that they're saying, or the actions that they're advising? So that's the other thing that I'm looking for, is really intuitively, are they connected to what they're saying? So that, do they believe themselves? Does that resonate at all with you, Tegan? When you're meeting with somebody, is there a voice in you that says, I don't know if I buy what this person is saying?
Absolutely. And even though I very rarely recruit anymore, or even when I was a recruiter, that BS radar absolutely goes off. And, sometimes it may be a misjudgment on, maybe somebody's nervous, or maybe whatever the case may be. But a lot of times you can tell by the way people articulate themselves, the stories that they choose to share with you, the accomplishments that they say they're most proud of. It's such a missed opportunity when job seekers don't do interview prep, because either they're not having at the tip of their tongue their best and brightest stories, or it's like, you probably don't have the experience that you say that you do, and the capabilities to achieve the value that we really need the person in this role to do. And so when looking at, hey, as someone who maybe is who's making a pivot in their career, and thinking, like, who do I want to reach out to, who do I want to learn from, that is key. Because so often you see people who are talking about things that they, like, you, to your point, they've never done before. And so if you can't do it yourself, there's the saying that, then teach it. But it's a lot easier for a basketball coach who's been a basketball player to earn the respect of the basketball team. It's a lot easier for a data scientist to help aspiring data scientists navigate different, political factors within the organization or different features on different technology or whatever it may be. And so it's important to vet and to make sure that if you're feeling like something is off, whether you're a recruiter hiring someone or a job seeker looking to learn from someone, if you get that feeling of, hey, I'm not quite too sure about this, to respect those feelings. Because if you did the pre-work, that self-work that you're talking about, then you're so closely connected with yourself and have confidence in who you are and what you stand for, that you want to listen to your gut. Be aware that unconscious biases may be going off. But there's a good chance that if your radar is going off, it's something to at least respect and explore further.
Absolutely. And I think that that's the conviction that we all want to develop in what we're saying on our words and our actions. And so when you're going into an interview, if you've done that pre-work, right, you've aligned your skills and experience to the job. You know what value you bring and you believe in that and you've done that work. You're not just coming in there saying what you think they want to hear. You're coming in there saying what you know they need to hear.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yep.
same with trainers, right? Is like that's sort of what I was getting at, is that like flat feeling of like, okay, I don't know what's really behind this person, versus like that depth and breadth of knowledge. And I think for all of us, thinking about that for ourselves too, is what is my depth and breadth of knowledge? What are the skills that I have that I can feel 100% confident and share with conviction?
So this is totally off topic, but kind of, since we're off the bigger topic, but since we're talking about interviewing and acting, right? How, as an actor, do you study a script and not sound scripted? How, as a job seeker, do you prepare for the interview and not sound scripted? Like, what's your advice from being an actor to how to have that play out when you're vetting potential companies through interviewing?
Yeah. I mean, I for me, for my personal technique is I have a lot of thoughts pinging around in my head and ideas, and oftentimes those come. And there's a great instructor that we have, Dan Ariely, who talks a lot about decision making and sort of the neuroscience behind this. But it's when we are relaxed, when we're in our most relaxed state, that's when these ideas come in. So when you're washing your dishes, you're showering, whatever. So when you're doing those things and you have these great ideas, that's when you want to be maybe thinking about the interview questions or your career or how you would word things or phrase things. And I do that. And then I come and I sit down and I write them out, because I need to see the script. And maybe that's just the actor in me. Like, I need to see the script and how I would phrase it and really articulate my thought and take all of these thoughts and put them together cohesively into a script. And then I take that and I do that pre-work that we talked about, of like, how do I connect to each of these thoughts and ideas? What is the story that I connect with when I'm saying this? And how could this story connect back to this company or this learner or this individual that's interviewing me based on the research that I've done? So that I'm not just saying something, and I'm always asking myself, why am I saying this? Am I saying this because I want someone to know, because I want to brag? Am I trying to educate them, inspire them? Am I, maybe I am trying to brag. I don't know. But I think being intentional about those responses and why I'm saying this and coming back to the learning outcome for me is always going to root me, because I know that when I'm saying something, I'm saying it genuinely because I want to educate or help somebody, versus I want to put myself in the center of this conversation.
Yeah, it's keeping it relevant and focusing on the servitude of others
Yes.
gets you really far in life.
Absolutely. And
It's the right thing, but it's also beneficial.
Yeah, it's hard for people to talk about themselves. And so
Oh,
it's easy to
yes.
want to feel scripted, and it's easy to want to just like say this totally rehearsed thing because it's easier. It's
Yeah.
easier than putting yourself out there and being 100% you and off the cuff and sharing your value. But I feel like when you do that work and you know your value that you're bringing, and when you connect to it truly and you connect it back to not making it about you, connecting your value back to how it can help somebody else, really helps me not even worry about the script.
I love that. And so, kind of getting back more on focus, then, what is your best advice for doing that work? How does someone identify what their transferable skills are, and is it relevant? So that way, when they are in an interview for maybe going from being an actor to a communication specialist to a content manager, like, how do you figure out how to put those pieces together?
Yeah. I think so the first thing I'll say is from my experience, I did this over time. I started doing this type of stuff, this type of thinking, transferable skills and all that when I was 12. like it was like
Shout out
seventh.
to your mom and grandma again,
No,
because
this was like
holy
my seventh
moly.
grade. This was my seventh grade teacher. We had a project where you kind of did a or like a personality assessment, and then you were assigned a job for like a month, a long project where you were assigned a job and then a budget, a personal budget, and you like figured out your lifestyle and your taxes and whatnot. It was a really great exercise, and I was assigned business manager. And I was like, this is great. I loved everything about it, but it really did inspire me to start thinking about, okay, there's this track here that feels like what I should do, right? All these aunties telling me, how are you going to make money? But it also felt like, wow, there's something in this thinking and this strategy and this organization of like focus, this career path that makes sense to me and feels right and grounding and keeps me focused. And so I just kept doing that, and I kept kind of bringing in the acting work that I was doing. Every experience, I think it's okay to be a generalist. I think it's perfectly wonderful and amazing to be a generalist. And then as you sort of figure out what you want to do or what you enjoy, if you're being self-reflective in those moments of the things that you're doing, you'll start to draw out the skills that you want to become a master in. Whitney Johnson, who's also one of our instructors, she actually recently just posted and was called out by Reid Hoffman, our founder, for an analogy that created, which is the S curve. And if you think about the bottom of an S, you're just starting. You're just starting. And then when you come up on the S, it starts to get tough. But you also, you start to get propelled, and there's some easy moments, and then you kind of come up around the top, and that's when you get to mastery. And so it's sort of like this journey that you have to go on. But if you're really staying in tune with what gives you energy and where you're at in your phase of life, I realized, that the PR lifestyle wasn't for me, because I was trying to have a family, and that's completely aside from what I was passionate about. I just knew I needed something that was a slower pace, because my body was starting to feel that stress, and it was showing up in health issues. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of us can relate to that in this time specifically, through the pandemic. And there's just a lot of different things that have come to the forefront with mental health and just connection and how we want to work and how we see ourselves in our life. There's no longer this sort of, okay, you go to university and you get a job and you work 9 to 5, and and then you retire at the same company, and that's it. We can create these wonderful, magnificent careers that spiral and twist and turn. And I think so. Anyways, to get back to your question, my advice is, I told you I could talk about this for a long time.
We could listen to
My,
you talk about this all day.
my advice is, it's okay to be a generalist at first. Keep checking in with yourself so you know what to double down on and what you want to become, what you want to have more depth of knowledge in. And then always think about how you connect to each of those things when you're going into job interviews and when you're going into the next phase of your life. Be really, really brutally honest with yourself about what you want, and it's okay if it changes. And so if you're honest with yourself, but then give yourself the grace to change your mind, it takes the pressure off completely. And don't get stuck on, we get stuck on I have to pick that one thing, that one skill that I'm the best at, and I have to do it by the time I'm 21. Or, I have to work on my personal branding. Our personal branding is not something that's removed from ourselves. Our personal branding is just how we articulate our value, and it's our work to figure out our value.
Absolutely. There's so many different resources that can help us with that. There's the Strength Finders assessment, there's the Big Five. There's so many different things that can help us. So it's really hard to read the label when you're inside the jar. And so when we can take some of these assessments to think about, okay, do I have to strongly agree or strongly disagree or somewhere in the middle. And then when you go through those processes, it kind of, even if you get results and you're like, no, that's not quite right, but you get closer to what is right. You get closer to understanding what it is that you enjoy and what you bring to the table. And like even LinkedIn has a fantastic resource where you can look at like the Career Explorer, where you can look at various skills of different job titles and a whole bunch of market data on what's going on in that industry. Me coming from a government background, onetonline.org is a fantastic resource that gives you federal data in terms of pay, industry outlook, how many people who have registered with that title over time, what technology is being used. There's so many different things that you can say, okay, here's what I like, here's what I dislike. Now, what are my opportunities? And then potentially, what are my threats? And one of the threats that we may have as pivoting into a new industry is not having the skills. And so transferable skills are great, but when it comes to not having the skills or not being, maybe we were a generalist and we have a little bit of exposure to that skill, but then we need to upskill.
Yeah.
What type of, in your experience, what type of commitment does that take to really say, okay, I'm going to invest in myself, be that going on, the library website and LinkedIn Learning and watching different videos to advance in those skills, or purchasing it and making the commitment that, okay, every single day at this time, I'm going to commit to learning, or reading a podcast or listening to a podcast on the commute, or reading a blog weekly, or whatever it may be, up to date on what's happening in the industry so we don't get left behind. Because the point of transferable skills is to future proof your career. Well, there's more that we have to be aware of, that sometimes we do have to put in extra work to achieve our goals once we've identified what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the commitment that you have to make, that commitment to yourself and put yourself first. And I think that starts with creating your schedules and your boundaries and prioritizing. I feel like my life is a constant exercise in triaging because, we all
Mom
have
life.
Yeah, mom life. We all have busy, busy lives, and it's so easy to deprioritize learning.
Yeah.
One of the programs that I work on right now is nano learning, and it is bringing in short form learning. So it's curated. I'm still going through making sure there's an actionable learning outcome within each video, but they're short. They're 14 seconds to 90 seconds max. They're super
Wow.
short, actionable tips. And all of those are free. If you go into the LinkedIn Learning Library and you search nano tips, we have about 35 courses now. There's about maybe 245 to 300 videos, and each video has a learning outcome in it. And they're from all the creators that you love on LinkedIn and on other platforms as well. There's some career coaches, but they're all just super short tips that you can watch, because we want learning to be accessible. We want it to be on the go. My mission is to create a habit of learning, and to bridge that gap of entertainment to edutainment to deeper form learning, because we all get addicted to that scroll, right? Like you're waiting for the bus or whatever it may be, and you open your phone and it's Instagram and you're scrolling and 30 minutes go by, and what did you you still saw some cute videos of dogs, and that's amazing and great for your mental health. But I think like making these short videos accessible, I would love it if, one day we're all just, sitting at the bus stop and we're bored and we flip open LinkedIn Learning and we're just like, oh, cool, I learned something amazing in 30 seconds. So I think that commitment is there, but it's training, right? It takes time. It's like with anything, there's a learning curve to it. It takes time to build habits. And so, I need to do this for myself too, is like really building in that learning time, but really tactically of just sort of going back to bridging that gap of what do you want? So that self-reflection of what do you want? What are you good at? And then what is the need? What is the market? What are my gaps? What if I don't have all the skills that I need for this particular job? So then it's taking that list of all the things that you're good at, your skills list, looking at those job descriptions, seeing, looking at the data to see what's on there. We have that on LinkedIn. And then really identifying where your gaps are. Once you know where your gaps are, you can go on LinkedIn, take courses. You could look at Skills Explorer, like you said. There's you could look up the job that you are actually going for, and it'll share with you open roles for that job. It'll show you the skills you need for that job, and then you can map those to say, okay, these are the skills that I have. These are the gaps. And then you go on LinkedIn Learning or Nano Learning and you start to fill in those skills. You can take those skills and add them to your profile. You can post that you took this course and recruiters can see that. You can create projects or take assessments. So with assessments, you can post those certificates. You can also take courses towards credits for certain things. So if you want to be an accountant, you can take courses towards certification for certain roles. And then you can build on those and take learning paths as well. So if you said, okay, I want to be a project manager, you can take a learning path to become a project manager so that you can really start to fill in those gaps and really have a focused path toward from where you are to where you want to go.
So I know we're at the 30-minute mark and I want to be respectful of your time, but if you're good, I would love to know, like, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So many people in like making a commitment to learn, it's so ingrained in us that, hey, if it's not a degree, it doesn't count for anything. And in my experience, I have found that recruiters love to see upskilling through LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, whatever, to show that people have had a vested interest in learning these things and that the courses that they're taking are valuable, that there are actionable insights, that it's not fluff. And so what has been like, do you have access to any of that type of thoughts or articles or
absolutely.
behind the scenes of how do employers look at when people are doing their learning through this type of nano learning or short courses where you're getting exposure to it? And like, do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. One of the things that comes to mind is that, so this is a project that I worked on starting a few years ago is when we started it, and it's now grown, and it was called Shine, or is called Shine with LinkedIn. Are you familiar with us?
I'm not.
Okay. So this was our way of building and testing a way for employers to hire based on skill.
Oh, I have heard of this. Yep. Okay. The name just caught me off guard for a second.
So we started with some sales roles or customer service roles within LinkedIn. So we created a full assessment that was a validated assessment. and we kind of created the whole pipeline of how somebody who was applying for a job would come in, what their experience would be like. So if the first step was not the ATS, not anything, it was take the skills assessment. And once you take the skills assessment, if you passed it, you were guaranteed a phone interview.
Nice.
And then from there, then you go through, you do a video interview. And so it was really kind of testing, like, how can we actually hire based on skill versus experience, or where you went to school, or what, what degrees you have, or who you know. And so we adopted that. I believe we still use that. We removed the education component from a lot of our job roles. And I think that's only going to snowball. And I think that more and more companies will do that. For Shine specifically, we had big companies that started to adopt this. I don't exactly know which companies are, like, how many we had, or if I'm allowed to say the name of them. But
yeah, probably don't, just in case.
There's some really big companies that we then did our second phase of testing with, and we did I think there were about 13 different ones. And I don't know if, sort of what happened, because then I went on mat leave and I haven't checked in. But I will find out if you're interested in this. I do know that this week was Talent Connect for LinkedIn, and Ryan Rosansky, our CEO, talked a lot about skills and how LinkedIn is investing more and more in this. I think having on-the-go learning, more skill development, more certifications, partnerships with organizations that we can get certifications through, as well as skills-based hiring and promoting that, like Shine, is only going to amplify the need to assess based on skills and hire based on skills versus where you went to school. So this is not the end. Like, I'm shouting it from the rooftops, but it's going to echo.
I've seen it in tech. So many tech companies, they're not caring if you have the degree. Take the technical skills exam. If you can pass it, then we want to talk to you. And it's like, first and foremost, go through this so we're not wasting anybody's time. Can you do the job that we need you to do? Great. And I'm also seeing in a lot of offers, organizations giving access to LinkedIn Learning as part of the benefits package, because they want people to invest in their professional development. And even though the company would be fitting the bill, it's that person taking the time to invest in their professional development of, hey, if this is where I'm mapping out my next steps in my career, how do I fill in some of these skills gaps in the interim of being able to potentially be put on stretch assignments, or, make it to that next role, whatever it may be. So you are qualified and ready for the position.
Yeah, it's so important when you're interviewing to ask about professional development. Most of our business is from enterprise customers. We know, hundreds of companies that are, offering this to their employees. And so those companies are out there. Go find them, because you want companies that are going to invest back in you. There's one story I'd love to share. Somebody that I work with who interviewed for a role, didn't get it, was so close, like maybe second up, asked the question, during the, they said, sorry, we didn't, you didn't get this. But rather than saying, okay, thanks, or, just saying bye and that's it, asked, what could I do? What skills did I lack? Or what can I do or could have done to make it? I want to apply again. And they did. They went and they took some courses. They really looked at what are those transferable skills. They looked at they were doing at the time and how they could draw on those skills or do more of that work. And then they came back and 6 months later landed a job because of that.
I've seen that happen even through volunteer work, where, somebody's dream company, and like some of these people's dream companies, they're really competitive to get into. And then the same thing, what do I need to do to be able to get in here? Well, we really need you to have this, or ideally we would like to have you have that. And then they go out and find nonprofits. Hey, let me volunteer my time to be able to build this out for you. This type of particular marketing campaign, this type of data analytics dashboard, using this type of this or that. and getting that experience in creative ways. So instead of like when the door closes, it's just like,
Yeah.
not just putting it to bed. It's okay, let me be hungry, let me get this. Because I think one of the things that it's difficult to remember is that yes, hiring for skills is absolutely important. If you have the skills, you can do the job. But if you lack certain skills, sometimes it's really difficult to be able to train you on that skill because it takes time to cultivate. I mean, you didn't just become an amazing actor and director overnight. That took a lot of effort. And so when it comes to leveraging like LinkedIn Learning, what are some of these like unknown features that a lot of us just don't know that help us put in the work over time
Yeah.
that maybe will help inspire some people who have been on the fence or maybe haven't had the discipline to really go and say, I'm going to have my professional development time. Um,
Yeah.
some, I don't know, maybe you might have a weird
I
fact or
think
something
it's,
that we
I
can
mean, I
close
think
out.
it's, oh, a fact.
Like I didn't know that if you use LinkedIn Learning from the library that it would pair with your account because back in the day it didn't used to. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And so for somebody who's like, I just don't have it in the budget right now, then it's
Yeah.
like, well, there you go. That's no longer a
Yeah.
barrier.
Well, I do know that we have a lot of free courses. We have free courses and free learning paths, and we're always unlocking more for periods of time. And also, I think anybody can, but I can unlock courses for 24 hours for people to watch. So ping me if you want a course, and I will send you a link to 24 hours. Um, but we have a lot of free courses as well, and so I think when you go in the library and you search, you can kind of find the ones that are available. All the nanotips courses are free, most of the job seeker ones. So and also the job seeker ones are, you can also purchase some of them for like the lowest, I think, amount. But there are definitely free courses. I'm happy to help kind of guide you through that. If anybody is watching and wants to DM me, I'm happy to help. Yeah, so I think those are the big things. And then there are, it's a constantly, we talked about how quickly technology changes. So even with skills and how skills are added to your profile and how they are connected back to job postings, that is going to continue to change and develop and be more integrated with learning. So as you take learning, like you said, Tegan, like recruiters will see it, and all of that will kind of populate into your profile. But when you have, I don't think it's just if you have premium career, but you can also do the 30-day free trial. So if you're doing, if you're say on a job search, this is what I did before I had premium, but I did the 30-day free trial. I would look at all of the job descriptions that I was really interested in, that I felt like really matched what I would be interested in, and then looked at, it gives you data on where your skills gaps are so that you can switch out, or because you can kind of select which skills you want to put on your profile, but that shows
Yep.
up to the recruiter. That's part of the like metadata behind it is, okay, they have 10 out of 10 of the skills that we need, or they have 2 out of the skills. And sometimes you pick those skills when you set up your profile, not really thinking about it. And you're like, wait, but out of the skills that they list, I do have all of them. So it's
Yep.
super easy just to go and switch those out. And then if you don't have those skills, you can take some courses, or like go volunteer, like you said, or get experience and then add those in. So
Love it.
that would be my answer.
Oh, well, I am so excited that you got to come and join today. I just looked down at my phone and was told that I wasn't streaming from LinkedIn. So a lot of people jumped over to YouTube. But I'm gonna download it and I will replay it, the recording, so people who only follow us on LinkedIn will see it too. Because there were so many gems dropped today from your journey, from how your mother and grandmother and aunties inspired you to really think about skills and be more than the degree or whatever societal wanted you to be, and finding that clarity and who we are right now and respecting that we're still growing and giving ourselves grace to work through what it takes to truly know ourselves and where our interests lie, and sometimes even what our values are, and be intentional about finding the company that we really want to be with. With it being in fourth quarter and so many layoffs happening and so many more predicted to happen, it's not everybody has the luxury of taking that much time to find it. But we both encourage you to take the assessments, to get in tune with you quickly. All of the advice today was actionable, resources to go to, steps to take, ways to improve your profile, strategies to interview. I mean, it was so much more than just transferable skills in these, quick 45 minutes. And so we're here for you. We're both available if you want to reach out. Definitely follow us, because if you're interested in like resume writing, sure, follow me. But if you're interested in all of the fun stuff about, like you talk about business, communication, empathy, character building, family. It's amazing how you're like, this is my voice, this is who I am, this is the message that I want to share. And it's like, if you need a pick me up, and sometimes like even like a kick in the ass, like, yeah, I do need to focus on this. Let's go. You've got the content for it.
You're amazing. You're amazing. And you're the real deal. So, I mean, like, real deal career coach, and just like being there for people, and everything you do with Jolt Your Career and the collective is just so inspiring and amazing. And I love that you dedicate so much time and energy and positivity to job seekers. It's really amazing.
Yes, and on that note, if you are not a member of the collective, I will go ahead and drop it in the comments. It's a resource group. It's a careers resource group, right? So if you need executive coaching because you want to be a better leader for your team, if you need a tax advisor because you just got a 6-figure sign-on bonus and need to figure out how to mitigate those risks, whatever it may be, it's over 10,000 people. I don't even keep track of the metrics anymore, but we're all just giving people. And that's how we met. It's just good people know good people. And if we have value to share with others and actionable insights that can help people accomplish their goals, then that's what we're all about. On that note, Amira, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a blast. Do you want to send us off? What are your final words for everybody?
I feel so grateful right now. I'm just like beaming with joy to, one, be able to join you for 45 minutes and hear just the amazing things that you have to say, but to share my voice and my experience and my story. And I just hope that some part of it resonated with those who are watching, and that you can walk away with something actionable. I really want to see you all succeed. So please connect with me, stay connected. If you have any questions or need support, I'm here for you.
All right, everybody, we will be back soon. Actually, I'm not doing an event. This is actually my last event of the year. As I move and am on a really big project right now, I just am going to have to take a back seat to my LinkedIn Live. So I'll be back at the beginning of the year with these lives, collaborating with amazing people like you. But it just dawned on me right now, like, you're helping me kick off the end of my year. So thank you so much for that. But I'm still going to be available. And so genuinely connect. If anybody who's tuning in has a question, needs a safe place to be vulnerable, slide into our DMs, because we have your back. And on that note, everybody, enjoy all of the amazing holidays that are happening all over the world right now and coming up, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye, everyone.